Hello and welcome to our media friends here at GCU Arena and also to our Lope Nation family joining us on live stream. This is a historic day for the Western Athletic Conference and for Grand Canyon University, and we are so thankful for you to be sharing this moment with us, as well as our special GCU guests we have here on stage, the legendary sports icon, Mr. Jerry Colangelo, our head basketball coaches, Bryce Drew and Molly Miller, and head baseball coach, Andy Stankiewicz. Our conference has just announced the addition of 5 outstanding members to our conference in Sam Houston State, Stephen F. Austin, Abilene Christian, Lamar University, and Southern Utah University. And we are thrilled to welcome them into our conference. These are institutions with an established history of Division I athletic success, and this really positions us to be a premier mid-major conference. For Grand Canyon University specifically, this expansion really raises the profile of all of our sports programs. It also increases the level of competition within our conference and increases the exposure for all of our programs, which really positions us to be highly competitive at the national level, which is our goal. I think our fans are really going to love the level of competition that these institutions bring. They're strong, growing institutions that are supported by university presidents and athletic directors that are very committed to their programs. So speaking of university presidents, I do want to introduce President Brian Mueller, who is joining us here live from Houston. He has just represented the Western Athletic Conference current members at the press conference over in Houston. And before I do turn it to him, I want to take this opportunity to thank President Mueller for the leadership role in driving expansion and driving membership for our conference. It is because of him that we are here today celebrating this historic moment, and it's because of him that we have rapidly grown and we're on a rapid trajectory to becoming a nationally competitive Division I program. So thank you, President Mueller.
Thank you, Jamie, and welcome everybody. And I want to also say that Jamie was a huge part of all the work that went into this. I can't tell you how exciting this is for our university and how exciting this press conference that we just completed was in Houston. The room was absolutely packed. The interest in this across the country and in Texas is very, very significant. Why is it important for Grand Canyon University? The conference that we've put together is, I believe, a conference that can compete against the Power Five. And when you look at NCAA athletics, the Power Five and the rest of the mid-major conferences, there's a growing separation. Our goal was to build a conference that could be competitive as a mid-major conference with those Power Five conferences. That's a big challenge, but I think this conference can do it. Number one, we wanted a conference put together where the population growth of the country was happening. When you think of Texas and you think of Arizona, you think of Utah, population in our country is moving south and it's moving west. And we're going to be primarily located in states where the population is going to be growing and where the economies are going to be strong and there's going to be support for athletics. I think that's a real important part of what we're thinking about. Secondly, in NCAA athletics, the real money can be made in basketball. It's the NCAA tournament. And so you have to have a conference that can be 1, 2, or 3 members can get into that tournament. When you get people in the tournament and they advance, that sets you up financially to support all the rest of what you do athletically. When you look at the history of these schools and their basketball success, we can easily be in the top third of all the conferences in the country. And that's a big goal for this conference. Thirdly, it brings football back to the WAC. And for a lot of schools, that makes sense. If you look at football schools at the FCS level, typically they have 50 or 100 years of history. They've got alumni who are donors who, for them, football is very important. GCU is different. We don't have a history of football, but we are building something special in basketball. And if we try to create something in football in the short run, it would take away from that basketball strategy, which is going to be really important, not just for our basketball program, but for supporting the rest of the Olympic sports that we have here. And so we will continue to be a basketball school in the vein of Gonzaga, of Creighton, of Marquette, those schools that have excelled and built a reputation and a name for themselves in basketball. This conference is going to have two divisions, which is really important because conferences have to decide whether how they're going to support Olympic sports that don't make money. When you have divisions that cut down on travel, that's a big part of being able to make that happen. And so there'll be a Southwest division with the Texas schools. There'll be a West division with the current WAC schools. And in terms of Olympic sports, those will all be played within those divisions, which will cut down on travel and expense and make us more competitive in those areas. The other thing that I think is important from our standpoint is that this will be a warm weather conference. And we have big aspirations in Arizona around those warm weather sports. What Andy is doing with our baseball program and the recruiting classes they've had is absolutely phenomenal. And so for baseball, for softball, for golf and those sports that Arizona is known for, this conference will support those sports because it's a warm weather conference. Let me just say in conclusion that it's been a long, hard journey here to make this happen. The WAC was in a position where we didn't know from one day to the next if we would even survive. We've taken a giant step now from are we going to survive to creating a bunch of like-minded institutions, presidents, and athletic directors that really can create something special. And let me say that in addition to this, that's what's happening today, the fact that we have both Molly and Bryce on and their coaching staffs in our basketball programs presents in a very, very exciting future for GCU within this conference. And so thank you all for being here and sharing this moment with us because the future is very, very bright. And with that, Jamie, I'd like to turn it back to you and hear from the other guests.
Thank you, President Mueller. We are also very privileged to have with us Mr. Jerry Colangelo. I know our Lope Nation fans are excited to hear your thoughts on this expansion before we hear from our head coaches.
Thank you, Jamie. I think I need to get this on first.
It's on.
I'm not sure. There we go. Thank you, Jamie. And to President Mueller, he did a terrific job in kind of leading the charge for the entire conference, and it was great foresight in terms of how to prepare for the future. I think back to when Grand Canyon decided to step up and move into a different classification, and that was Division I, and what that meant to the program at that time and also to the future. And so having accomplished that, we looked around. Who were the schools that really impressed us? The mid-major people like Gonzaga, who is a great example of what could be done on that level. Brian Mueller mentioned Creighton. There's Marquette. There's Butler. There's a whole series of mid-majors who have done an amazing job. Most of it's basketball. It's a great calling card. There's a great return on investment when you focus on that particular sport, and in many cases, it helps pay for all the other programs within a school's athletic footprint. I think also that what has happened here with the WAC is it's been elevated. I think it's going to have big impact on television in terms of coverage. That's important in recruiting. I think it will give us a better, bigger standing in terms of being able to get into the tournament, and it speaks for itself regarding the return on investment. So this is an exciting time for Grand Canyon. It's really a big deal for the WAC, bringing in some of these very established programs, the new schools, and so it's going to be a tougher conference, and that's good. I think we want to compete with the best that we can compete with. So from my standpoint, this is a big day for Grand Canyon University.
Echo that for sure. Big day, exciting time for our conference. It's kind of here and it's come to fruition. All this hard work of our great leadership with Jamie and President Mueller and all the institutions who have made this a reality for us. I'm so excited from a women's basketball standpoint because if we crunched some numbers here. If we were to take the current teams in the WAC now, the past 3 years, our RPI increases by 45. That's huge. I think that kind of solidifies to me the commitment that, like President Mueller said, these like-minded institutions has to put this elite at the elite level. And for me as a women's basketball coach, that's exciting to know that. Here, mark this one down for you guys. Out of the teams nationally that have at least played 6 games, we're going to want to highlight, asterisk, bold, underline this game. GCU, we're ranked number 1 in turnovers forced nationally. Stephen F. Austin is number 2. Talk about that game. That's going to be fun, you know, that defensive lockdown mentality. So just the elevation in the conference itself for me is exciting. We always go back to the student athlete and what's the best experience for the student athlete. I think we've put a premier conference together to give them that best experience. I'll let you guys in on about 10 minutes after this. I'm going to go call some high-level Texas recruits because we're recruiting in Texas right now. And the fact that I get to tell them, hey, we're going to frequent your home state. We're going to visit often right in your backyard. I think that's huge for the recruiting footprint of GCU and all our programs. So I'm thrilled to kind of use this momentum, and it's got great implications for the future when you're talking about seeding, NCAA berths, just the competition level. For competitive coaches like ourselves, it's a great day. It's exciting. Welcome the new teams. Thank you for the leadership to kind of make this come to fruition, and we're excited to be Elope and represent the WAC along with other teams in our conference.
You know, only being here a few months, I'm overwhelmed with the leadership that GCU has. When you go to President Mueller and what he's done, you know, for this university and what he's doing by the day, just increasing the brand and the status of this university. You look at Mr. Colangelo, what he did for sports just in general across the world, and what he did for the city of Phoenix, and the vision of those two is second to none. Some of the best visionary people that I've ever come across, ever known, ever read about. You know, we have the privilege and the opportunity to work with. Jamie Boggs has been sensational. She's extremely ambitious. And again, I think she's a big reason why we're sitting up here today announcing this new conference that we all get to participate in. Going to men's basketball. Every school that we brought in has been in the NCAA tournament in the last 2 decades. And if you go to Stephen F. Austin, they've won multiple games in the tournament. And where does this help GCU? Well, it's one thing to get to the NCAA tournament, which is a very, very special opportunity. It's another thing to be positioned to have a good seed so you can win and so you can advance. And the addition of these 5 schools with the addition of what we already have in the WAC, we're really hopeful that our net rankings as individuals will all go up and our conference will all go up. And how does that help all of us? When the NCAA seedings come, it's really hard when you're a 14 or 15 or 16, really hard to advance. But when you get into that 13, 12, 11 area, your percent significantly go up to be able to advance in the NCAA tournament. And so just the addition of these schools have already raised the average net by 20 individually and by a conference by 4 places up. As we play each other year in and year out, hopefully those numbers will continue to go up. The other nice advantage for men's basketball is you always want to play in nice arenas. And we're very blessed here to have a tremendous arena when we play at home. But now when we go on the road, we have even more nice arenas to play in. Many are renovating their arenas or already have. Most of them all seat over 5,000 up to 9,000. And so there'll be great venues that our student athletes can go and play in. And so as a basketball coach, is the league much harder now? Absolutely, it's much harder. But there's also much more opportunity for us to be able to keep a net ranking high and be able to get a good seed into the NCAA tournament. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jerry. President Mueller in Texas, thank you for all you've done to help give us this platform to play at a high level.
Good morning. Why is this exciting? I think I can echo a lot of what you've already heard here this morning. But from a baseball standpoint, getting to go into Texas, you look at in the minor league baseball and Major League Baseball, the three states that have the most playing professional baseball now are California, Florida, and Texas. And so that tells you right there that the talent pool is huge in the state of Texas, obviously. And that's exciting, just like Coach Miller alluded to, that we can get into Texas. And that's always been one of our goals in baseball, is to start to recruit stronger in the state of Texas. And so the fact that we can, and I did, to Molly's point as well, I spoke to a recruit last night who's from Texas. I didn't tip it like and say what was going on here. But I just told him, hey, something pretty cool is brewing, and you'll find out really soon. So the fact that we can get into Texas, recruit, and tell a young man and his family that we'll be back. We'll be back to play 3 or 4 games here in your home state so your family and your friends can watch. That's exciting for a young man and their family. The RPI is going to be stronger. That's always a goal. Right now, typically in the WAC, it's a one team can get to a regional, and that's the team that wins the WAC tournament. Now with these teams, with their history of success in D1 baseball, now there's a strong possibility that it'll be possibly 2 or 3 teams will get an at-large bid into a regional tournament. And that's the goal for all of us, is we want a chance to win a national championship. And so that's exciting. President Mueller alluded to the warm weather. I'm a warm weather guy, right? And Phoenix is perfect for me. And so I know that those cities, typically in Texas, you're looking at 70, 75, 80 degrees during the springtime. And so that's a big plus, absolutely. And I think one of the things that this shows, as much as anything else, is the commitment that President Mueller, Jamie Boggs, Jerry Colangelo, the commitment that they have to the student athletes, the commitment that they have to the coaching staffs. This is huge for us as coaches as well, knowing that we're so supported. Our students on campus, our alums, our fan base, the commitment is strong. It's healthy. GCU does not go along for the ride. I've been here now for 10 years. We don't do anything just to go along for the ride. GCU, again, with President Mueller's leadership, Jamie Boggs is diligent and work ethic is off the charts. Jerry Colangelo, what he brings to this character, his reputation, what he brings to this university, it's all about being out in front. And it doesn't surprise me that this is happening. Since I've been here, this university continues to grow in every way. And it's about, like, again, Coach Miller alluded to, it's about student-athlete experience. That's what's forefront. That's what I've seen more than anything else from President Mueller, is this is about the student experience. And this without question is going to add to that.
Thank you, coaches, and thank you, Mr. Colangelo. It is certainly an exciting time to be a member of the Western Athletic Conference. I think it's even more exciting time to be a part of the GCU Lope Nation family as we take our next big leap into becoming highly competitive at the nationally competitive at the Division I level. So thank you all for being here, and Lopes up.